Why are some of the world's most handsome, charismatic, strong, and powerful personalities black? Whether it's bodybuilding, sports like NBA, athletics, and more, blacks have dominated them all. But that's not it. Today, white women want to marry black men. The same is true for white men who want to marry black women. Why is that so? Everything comes to black people's superior genes that make them most attractive and better equipped for survival than the rest. But how is that so? Is it true that blacks have superior genes that give them leverage and make them a better choice by nature? Welcome to a new episode of Black Culture Diary, a channel where we talk about less known and hidden black history, culture, arts, and lost civilization. We scrutinize history here to bring the black culture back on the surface again. In this episode, we will explain black genetics and how black genes are dominant. The goal of this video is education, not discrimination. Let's get started. Black people have manifested how they are better equipped for survival. We always discuss laws, principles, and fairness in the human world. However, nature is quite otherwise. Nature does not care who is more ethical. Rather, the better equipped person will survive. Simply, it's called survival of the fittest. And black people seem to be an example. It is believed that black people are genetically gifted. But is that the truth? Well, the answer is yes. For example, let's take a closer look at sprinting. Jim Hines, a black man, was the first to break the 10-second barrier in 1968. Only individuals of black descent had broken this barrier until 2003 when Patrick Johnson, an Aboriginal from Australia, became the first non-African descendant to do so. Whether Aboriginals are considered black is a personal opinion. However, from 2003 to 2010, only individuals of black descent continued to break the 10-second barrier. Basketball is a sport where over 70% of the NBA players are black. Although height can be important, black people's athletic and explosive abilities likely contribute to their success in this sport. American football is also an explosive sport, with over 70% of NFL players being black. When it comes to bodybuilding, Lee Haney and Ronnie Coleman, both black men, hold the record for the most Mr. Olympia titles with 8 each. Arnold Schwarzenegger was a strong contender, but Phil Heath, another black individual, has also made a name for himself in bodybuilding. Kai Green, another black individual, was his rival for a long time, proving that blacks are physically superior. But why are blacks so muscular, strong, and attractive? Well, the answer lies in 5 reasons. Reason 1. Genetic diversity. Africa is the only continent on the planet which has the absolute form of genetic diversity. In other words, you will find people with every type of gene there. And when people with different strong genes marry, they produce children with more dominant genes than themselves. And this strengthening process continues. This has been happening in Africa since the first human was born. Although Africa's population is only 1.4 billion, it's still more genetically diverse than the rest of the world's 6 billion people. As a result, Africa is likely to contain a vast range of genetic traits, with genetic extremes being particularly common. Take, for instance, the Dinka people in South Sudan, who are the world's tallest, and the Ambuti people in the Democratic Republic of Congo, who are the world's shortest. Both of these groups live in Africa, which is also home to the fastest and most muscular people on the planet. However, it's essential to remember that not all people grouped as black have the same DNA. Just because 2 men from China or Pakistan are from the same continent of Asia doesn't imply that they share the same DNA. Similarly, not all people who are considered black share the same DNA. Therefore, while black people may dominate certain sports, many different DNA groups excel in various sports. But one thing is clear: black Africans have diverse genes to choose from. Reason 2. Natural selection. Black Africans have supremacy due to natural selection. In a nutshell, natural selection is when the environment determines which genes will survive. Take 2 deers, for example. One runs faster while the other is slow. If a predator like a lion is chasing both, the faster deer will make it out alive. As time passes, the fast deer will live longer, passing on its genes, while the slower one won't be so lucky. It's pure natural selection, which can be unfair and brutal. In Africa, natural selection has played a massive role in shaping the genetic diversity of its people. The malaria epidemic ravaged West Africa. In case you're not familiar with this vicious disease, it spreads through mosquito bites and invades the red blood cells, causing them to multiply. West Africans have lower hemoglobin levels on average and a higher prevalence of sickle cell traits and sickle cell anemia. While this may seem like a health issue, it's a massive advantage against malaria. With fewer red blood cells, the disease has less chance to spread throughout the body. Thus, those without these traits likely perished, while those with them survived and passed on their genes. Yes, another example of natural selection. What's more, these genetic traits have also influenced the muscle fiber types present in Black people. With lower hemoglobin and sickle cell traits, there is less production of red blood cells, leading to a lower percentage of slow-twitch muscle fibers that require oxygen. Instead, there's a higher percentage of fast-twitch muscle fibers that don't require oxygen. This is an intriguing characteristic of Black people, underscoring the fascinating ways natural selection has sculpted their genetic structure. Simply, they are better equipped to develop muscles. Before we continue further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and natural superiority. Let's continue now. Reason 3. Power gene. Genetics plays a critical role in athletic performance, and the power gene, ACTN3, is a prime example of this. ACTN3 produces alpha-actinin 3, a protein that generates power and force. However, this gene has two versions: the good version, which is the R allele, and the bad version, which is the X allele. Inheriting two copies of the R allele, one from the mother and one from the father, enables individuals to produce significant power and force. While one R allele and one X allele can still generate much power, it's not as much as the RR genotype. Unfortunately, inheriting two copies of the X allele severely limits the body's ability to produce power, as it cannot create enough alpha-actinin 3. Interestingly, the XX genotype is most common among Asians, comprising approximately 25% of the population. For white people, it's around 18%, while for Black people, less than 1% have the XX version. Remarkably, 99% of West Africans possess the good version of the gene, which gives them extra power and force. Reason 4. Myostatin. Our muscles produce a protein hormone called myostatin. Its job is to regulate the growth and development of skeletal muscles by controlling the number and size of muscle fibers. However, myostatin is not always an ally for athletes and bodybuilders looking to build muscle. It acts as a negative regulator of muscle growth by inhibiting the activity of a protein called ACT, which is involved in muscle growth and protein synthesis. In other words, bodybuilders do not want myostatin. Naturally, Blacks have mutations in their myostatin genes, which can reduce the amount of myostatin produced by their bodies. This can lead to muscle hypertrophy, a condition where individuals have a much greater potential to develop and maintain large, strong muscles. Interestingly, people of sub-Saharan African descent have been found to have a higher prevalence of myostatin mutations than other populations, which could explain why many elite athletes from this region are able to achieve impressive levels of muscular development and strength. Reason 5. Androgen receptors. Did you know that your muscles won't grow properly without androgen receptors? These receptors are activated by androgen hormones such as testosterone, essential for muscle growth and secondary sex characteristics development. But here's the interesting part. Research has shown that people of African descent tend to have higher androgen receptor sensitivity than other populations. In other words, they can build muscles quickly and easily. While this can be advantageous for building muscle mass, it also puts them at higher risk for certain health conditions, such as prostate cancer. Did you know why Black people are so attractive and strong? Does not Black genetics show why Black people exist even today and have not gone extinct, despite being the first humans to originate? Simply, their genes are dominant and won't be replaced. Let us know your opinions about whether there is any other race whose genes have survived for millions of years and are still present. You know the answer. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody is talking about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and the evidence proving Black superiority. Thanks for watching.